Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are fortunate to have this gentleman back again this week. He is the 2021 WSOP Player of the Year, won over $1 million this last series. And for us to kick off the 2022 year with him, it is an absolute honor. 2 bracelets this summer, 4 overall. As I mentioned, won over $1 million in the 2021 WSOP. Four final tables, 11 cashes. That doesn't even include the one he won on that he finished online, where he finished 4th for almost 100,000. A phenomenal summer from start to finish, but it didn't start out that way. And in true honesty, I think he will even admit he never expected it. Josh Arieh here, back on the show, 2021 WSOP Player of the Year. Thanks for coming back on, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man. I enjoy it.
Let's talk about it. You enter 2021, like you said, you didn't play, you don't play much. I guess before, a good way to kind of preface it is, what were you doing during COVID? Were you playing much?
What was I doing during COVID? I was gaining weight. I was watching, I think, every single episode of every show on Netflix.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a little home game, a group of guys that played from Atlanta. We would play here and there, maybe some sit and goes, some cheap Omaha or some cheap Hold'em. But other than that, I didn't do much.
So going into this 2021 World Series, the plan was for you to be there the entire time, right? And
yeah,
what were your expectations? Was it hopefully we'll get some good cashes or be profitable?
Excuse me. I had 0 expectations. I was there for the whole time because of Pocket Fives, because of me running Pocket Fives, staking platform. I planned on being there, dealing with the horses, getting players packages posted. Excuse me. But I definitely planned on playing a good amount, but not near what I played. It started off really slow. I think I was there for 2 weeks and had no cashes, and then finally I broke through with the flip and go.
How many times did you have to do the flip and go?
I think 3 or 4. I don't remember. It was either 3 or 4, and then finally I just remember talking to, like, okay, finally I got that out of the way, and now I can play. And
right,
and then
your cash.
Yeah, and then I think I had like 2 other in the money finishes, and came home for 4 or 5 days to hang out with my daughter, and circled that 1500 PLO event on the calendar, and was like, okay, I'm coming back for that. So flew in the morning of that event and caught some heat, and from there, just like the snowball effect. It's been like that way in my life the whole time. When it's going good, it's going really good. When it's going bad, it goes bad. And so I just knew that I needed a little momentum. And right. When I got that momentum, when they gave me the ball, I ran with it.
So you, as you were talking about it, not a great start. You don't cash until the flip and go, which was event number 20. So how many events did you play prior to flip and go, leading up to that? You were 0 for what, basically?
I was looking, I think I was 0 for 6 or 0 for 7, something like that.
And it's tough. I've always said, you don't get off to a good start. Like, I'm not usually there for the full 7 weeks. I'm usually there for about 2 weeks, go home, and then come back for another 2 weeks. So like, you don't get off to a good start. 4 or 5 in a row. Oh my God. It's like, you're just sludging through it. And for you, when you from 0 to 20 was basically that 2 weeks, what you went through would have been one of my 2-week stretches. I'm going home going like, oh God, 0 for 7. I suck.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well,
it's
for me,
it's got to
luckily
drain on you a little bit though, right?
a little bit, but luckily for me, I'm in the greatest spot, easily the best place I've ever been in my whole life. My personal life is perfect. I'm just playing with a clear head, and I went out there with very little expectations.
Right.
Um, I, it didn't wear on me the way that it would have in the past. So yes, it sucks to get your head kicked in every day, but it was just different this year, compared to any year in the past. So, yes, it hurts, but no, for some reason, I was still able to bring what I think is my best to the table every time I sat down.
Did you feel like maybe the pocket fives, the backing scenario, like you said, just keep your seat, maybe even helped in some of this, in some respects?
Well, in a way, but just like I knew that, I mean, my goal this year wasn't to go out and play poker every day. My goal, I was out there with like a business mentality. I was waking up every morning, getting my pocket five stuff done. I missed some tournaments early because I had other work to do for pocket fives. And at first, pocket fives was the number one thing that I was dealing with out there.
Right.
And then as the series went on, I made the decision, just because I was doing so good, I made the decision that, me playing and getting my name up in lights every day is good for pocket fives too.
Right.
So I would get a couple hours worth of work done in the morning, and then I would, sit at the table and try to stay there all day.
As you like you said, you get some momentum, you cash in a couple of the events, the flip and go and 8-game, etc. And now you play, and this pot limit Omaha 8-handed, a lot of players. For people who don't know, No Limit Hold'em obviously is still king, but pot limit Omaha is a very popular game. 821 players are playing in this $1,500 event, 200,000 for first. How does it go for you? Omaha is your game. Like you said, you circle it. So you are really like, I can't wait to play this game. How does it kind of go for you?
I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, this tournament's got so many players in it and this, that, and that's something that I've never in one tournament I've ever thought about. Like, you can only play the table that you're playing, and you can only play the hand that you're dealt at the time. And I know that's a stupid saying, but really, in no matter what tournament I'm in, whether it's the main event with 10,000 players or the Poker Players Championship with 60 players, I'm only worried about the people in front of me. I'm not worried about everybody else. You have to win. I'm going to play in another tournament the next day, no matter what. So just, who cares about how many people are in the tournament? And just deal with what's in front of you. And I think that's always been a good thing for me, to not worry about the road ahead, where it's 3 or 4 days in one tournament. I deal with the table ahead, or the table that I'm sitting at, and that's the whole tournament to me.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I came back refreshed, and got to play the game the game that I look forward to when I'm playing mixed games. It's like, I can't wait till Pot Limit Omaha rolls around, because I get to play my game, where like I remember saying this out loud. It's what I'm thinking in my head, and I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but it's like, you guys have to play Pot Limit Omaha with me every hand. And I'm just really comfortable playing it. And there's a couple times that I got really lucky, or a situation came about against the right person, and I was able to play a big stack for a really long time in the tournament, and turn it into my third bracelet.
What are a couple of things, PLO is a game that a lot of people are trying to transition to from No Limit Hold'em to PLO. What are a couple of things that you could tell some of my listeners that they should kind of watch out for, maybe in comparison to No Limit Hold'em, or just in general? What are a couple of things that you see a lot of novice PLO players do that they could fix?
Well, the main thing the main thing that I do early on in a session is I try to categorize an opponent. Like, is Pot Limit Omaha brings all different kinds of players to the table, and I try to understand what range of hands each person is going to be playing. There's people playing a lot of hands and they could show you anything, but then there's kind of like the more snug guys that are only playing real high, high tight ranges. And it's really important to understand the range of hands that your opponent in each hand is going to play. And you focus, once you figure that out, you mix in stack sizes, and there's a term that people use, like pot to stack ratio, and that's really important. Understanding if there's going to be a big bet on the river, are you playing deep enough to bluff this person? And one other thing that I think that is really important is play hands that can continue to improve. Like there's different kinds of 2-pair hands. Like, you can flop 2-pair and you can't really improve unless you fill up, but you can also flop 2-pair and have a gut straight with an overcard. So it's just like, try to focus on hands that are continuous, that can continuously improve, because the board changes on almost every card. Just about every flop texture, the nuts is going to improve, or the nuts is going to change.
Right.
And so it's important to play hands that have value in the current state of the board, but then also can improve your hands and make hidden hands that your opponent isn't going to be able to put you on.
Right. So like you said, if currently right now you flop top 2, but that's it, and unless you get that boat, you really don't go anywhere. You still want that potential flush draw, even if it's a backdoor or whatever, because like you said, once the turn comes on, the hand completely changes. It's no longer, the nut is different, or at least the potential nut is different. And so at least you have some continuity.
A perfect example is, like, I hate to bore with like an exact hand, but
exactly.
Let's say like the flop is 8-6-3 and your hand is 8-9-10-3. Well, you flop top and bottom with a gutter, and you're betting and you're proceeding, showing strength of your top and bottom. Well, when that 7 comes, they're like, oh, wow, well, he didn't have a wrap. He was playing too aggressive to have a wrap. And they don't quite put you on the 9-10 because they're like, oh, there's no way he's also got 9-10. And so you back in and, a 7 comes and you get paid off because you also had that.
Right.
So, or, in spots where you make a backdoor flush and you get value from betting your 10 high flush, because they think, oh, well, it's a backdoor flush. He couldn't have made that, and he wouldn't bet it unless he had the nuts. And so, yeah.
So in some respects, I understand a set is better at that point than the 2-pair, but the 10-9-8-3 on the 8-6-3 board, in some respects, is maybe even slightly better than having a set of 6s there with 2 cards that just won't help anything, because hitting those cards aren't going to help. You've got to pair the board for you to get better.
And you're not going to make much money with that middle set, because there's going to be very few cards that come where you can really make good value bets. So it's like, I'd rather have the hand that has more, not instant equity, but whatever it's called when you can possibly win.
Right,
You know, based on somebody's hand, you know, somebody being deep. And so, yeah, it's about having something and staying on the draw and yeah, putting your opponents on correct ranges.
So it's like kind of like risking the future, but when that hidden future hits, that's when you really can take down a lot. Right. So you win that 1,500, obviously a great start. And you must have, before we even get to after that moment, try to go backwards in time. I know that was many tournaments ago, many cashes ago, and many changes of mindset. But when you win that event, I think you had texted it out like, I understood the assignment or something like that. I think you did some of that, right? So I saw that on Twitter. So like, that must have just been like, you, in my opinion, if I were in your shoes, it would have been like, I'm good. Rest of summer, whatever. I got it. Like, I mean, 16 effing years. Yeah, I should have had 5 of these in that time. I freaking got my 3rd one. Let's go.
No, it was, and like, it was an amazing feeling. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I think I was head up against Tommy Lee, and he's really, really good. So it was a hell of an accomplishment. I can't explain how happy I was to finally get number 3. I've for the past 4 or 5 years, I've gone out to the World Series. Really, I want to win one more bracelet to hopefully maybe one day get on the Hall of Fame ballot. I felt that I needed another bracelet to just get on the ballot. And it's just like, I couldn't believe it. And it's like, all those years, finally I got a 3rd. Finally, I can possibly get on the ballot. And it was a huge relief. But again, I'm in before the win, I'm in the best place I've been mentally in so many years. So I'm enjoying my time at the table. And so, I mean, I think I may have taken one day off. I don't even remember. And I was right back to work in a day or two to play again, just because, you know, when you win, you want to play. You know, it's like poker's fun. 100%. And when you're winning, it's a lot of fun. So I was just right back to work and you know, building the momentum that I had, building on the momentum that I had already had. And it just, you know, I was winning every time in a tournament, no matter who it is, you know, you can ask somebody, there's some important hands that you win along the way where you had 50% equity or 40% equity and you just win those. And I was winning those, and it was like, this is fun.
Right.
So I just enjoyed my time at the table. And then I almost didn't play the 50K, and it was like, it was on Halloween, and my girlfriend and I had Halloween costumes, and we played the tag team event together. That didn't work out too well. And so I was like, screw it, you know, I'm having a really fun time. And so I went and I played the 50K and, you know, built up some steam there and then made the final table. And then just got knocked out and snap registered for the PLO, the 10K PLO 8, and ended up winning that one. So, but it was really cool. I got knocked out of the 50K, and there was a day off in between. Well, so I played day 2 and the 50K didn't play. Well, I come back to day 3 of the PLO 8, and they're playing the 50K 30 feet behind me in the Thunderdome. And I'm opening my bag of, we both tournaments started at 2:00 that day. So it's like, I'm opening my bag of chips, and I ask myself, like, is this going to tilt me or is this going to motivate me? And I made a decision that, this is going to motivate me. I have to win this, I have to win this tournament. And I ended up winning the tournament. I got knocked out 6th of the 50K. And when I won the pot limit, the 10K 08, there was still 4 people left in the 50K. So like, wow. Yeah, there was only 1 person knocked out in the time that I won the tournament. So wow, that was pretty cool. That's one thing that I'll never forget.
You can see how obviously the stars, moon, everything had to align perfectly because, like you said, if you hang on just a little longer in the 50K, then you can't play in this one, and you can't get massive points for winning that 10K. We'll talk a little bit more about the main event as well when you got knocked out, but you win your second one. You win this. It's PLO high-low, 8 or better. Now, is this so? At what moment do you? Because I think that after your first bracelet, you're still not like POI might be there, but you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, we'll see what happens. At what point is it after winning the second, or is it after Poker Players Championship that you're like, well, have a shot here?
No, it was after the second one. I was talking to a couple of my friends. I was talking to Sean Deeb, and Sean Deeb is always going for Player of the Year. Right. So I think I won the tournament on a Friday night, and I told, and Sean says, well, you got to play the online stuff now. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. And then on Sunday, me and my girlfriend were not doing much. And so I was like, you know what, let's go to the room. I'm going to play the online event. And then I ended up winning. I ended up coming in 4th in that. And that put me, Jake Schwartz was leading the Player of the Year at the time. And that put me ahead of him. So that's when I made the decision that, okay, well, I'm going to give it a run. And so, yeah, from there, I think I wouldn't have played the 10K stud 8. And I final tabled that and got some points. And then, then after that, I ended up going home. I got a call. I got an email from home that I needed to deal with. So I came home and hung out with my daughter for a couple days, and I was done. Like I was in first, but I was done. I was playing no more events. I had already played the main, and I was telling my daughter, I got a better idea of what was going on here, and it wasn't as bad as it was presented to me. And my daughter was like, go back. I can't believe, what are you doing here? Go win Player of the Year. So I came back. I missed the 3K PLO. Like, it was on a Wednesday. I went home on a Tuesday, and I flew back on Friday morning before the 50K PLO. So yeah, I'm glad I came back. If I had not have come back, I would not have won, because Phil would have passed me.
Wow, crazy. And one of the things that, so like you said, you played in a few more events that you wouldn't have played, like a 7-card stud. But again, timing is everything. You play in the main event, you cash in it, you get deep, you get to day 4, but you get knocked out, and you're able to now buy into the No Limit Hold'em PLO event. And then you're able to play the 7-card stud event. You picked up about 350, 400 points in those 2 events, finishing in 40th, finishing in 9th. Whereas if you stuck around and played the main event for another day, you don't pick up that many points if you finish like 210th, like whatever. Like, great. So you pick up another 10, 15,000 there. Obviously it's a nice deeper run, but you getting knocked out at that moment right then and there gave you that opportunity to pick up another 400 points that,
Yeah,
like you said, you're not winning without those points.
right now. I know it's it all, like, the stars lined up, everything. It's crazy to think about, the things that happened, and the hands, some of the crazy hands that I lost, that allowed me to jump somewhere else and get some points. Or,
Right.
I mean, it's just like, I I remember getting playing the online event, and it's like 4 a.m. and there's 11 people left, and I have 2 kings against 2 aces. And the way the cards peel out online is the middle card is the last card you see, and boom, the king comes like the middle card of the flop. And it was just, I mean, it's just so many different little things that happened to let me win it. And there's been maybe 1 or 2 times in the past where I had looked at the leaderboard and went for player of the year. But the funny thing is that my whole life, so not my whole life, but for the past 6 or 7 years, the WSOP like championships are in Cherokee, North Carolina, which is like an hour away.
Right.
And I don't play the circuit events, so I don't crack the top whatever to play in that, but they allow the
top 100 to buy in, right?
Top 100. So, like, I've always focused on trying to be in the top 100 of the
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
And then, so, like, at this point, I'm like happy. Okay, I get to go buy into this tournament later this year. But just to be at the top of the leaderboard, and it's all the talk between, you're at the table and everybody's talking about it. It was so much fun. I love competing, and it's just like that extra little bit of motivation that I need to stay focused. And it was a hell of a run that it's just crazy. The things that happened along the way to allow me and to make it happen is just insane.
Well, when we come back, we'll wrap up with Josh and talk a little bit about what maybe the future will hold, as the 2022 WSOP is right around the corner, because it's such a short period of time. But when we come back, we'll wrap up with the 2021 WSOP Player of the Year, Josh Arieh, when we come back here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.